Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. So it's been a busy past couple weeks for us here at the property with all the construction that's going on in the back garden. I have not been able to get a lot of things done that have been on my winter to-do list. And so this weekend when the construction workers were letting the concrete cure and then they took off for the weekend, I tried to get as much random chores done in the garden as I possibly could. And I decided just to put up my camera and record just so you guys can see all the things that I have been putting off and that I really should have done videos for, but I didn't really get around to it just because things have just been so busy. So something that's been on my list for quite a number of weeks now is to reseal the front deck. I power washed this front deck a couple weeks ago, actually before Christmas, and it's in desperate need of a reseal. So I just used the same stuff that I used on the front porch in front of the front door, and it's just in a slate gray color, just super basic, nothing interesting. It looks better with this coat of paint on, but honestly, it's just to keep the wood deck going for another year or two until we get a chance to tear this deck out and replace it. And this is the type of thing that I always, kind of go back and forth on whether I should even show on my channel, but I think a lot of you agreed with me when I showed me painting the front porch for the front porch makeover. It's kind of satisfying. It's kind of satisfying to see a coat of paint go on and what a difference a coat of paint can make. So luckily on Saturday, the weather was cooperating. It was sunny. It was warm enough for paint. It was probably like 55 degrees, I would say. And you can see from the totem pole grasses swaying in the wind, it was a little bit breezy, which actually helped the paint dry pretty quickly. Jason had taken the girls and Monty out for a nice long hike to get some energy out from Monty because he has just been going stir crazy with all this construction going on. And as you can see, when they got home from the hike, Jason accidentally let Monty run right over my freshly painted deck. Luckily, because of the wind, it had dried pretty quickly, so there were just a couple paw prints around and I could easily clean them up. So it was no big deal. So I spent Saturday afternoon in the sun painting this deck, and I think it looks so much better. And I'm so glad that I can now put a check next to this task on my winter to-do list. The next morning was a cold one. We were socked in with fog. It was a little wet. It was damp, but it was really beautiful. We have had the foggiest January, and this weather reminds me of the weather that I grew up in, which was closer to the coast of California. We live more in the valley of California, and we don't often get this much fog. Here you can see the barn cats asking for food and the back garden with all the fog. I just think it just looks so incredibly beautiful, and hopefully I think the guys are coming tomorrow to remove the concrete frames. But in the meantime, I wanted to get some garden chores done, including cutting back these totem pole grasses that I have in the zigzag planter. These grasses were absolutely beautiful last year, but I think if I give them one more year to mature, they'll be even taller. They're supposed to get up to about 6 feet tall, and you can see they probably only got up to about 4 feet tall this year, maybe a little over 4 feet. So it's just that time of year to cut the grasses back to a couple inches and cut your salvia, specifically your woody salvia, this is Salvia leucantha, back as well. And you don't really have to worry, I'm in zone 9, I don't really have to worry about the frost for this plant cutting it back. You can see I can just cut it back to that base layer of foliage down at the bottom, and it'll be perfectly happy and it'll flush back next season as it starts to get a little bit warmer. By the way, I always feel like I'm flexing when I show videos in January of my orange trees in the background and all the big, juicy, ripe oranges. Yes, they're amazing. Yes, they taste wonderful. Yes, I've been having them every day for breakfast and lunch and snack, and it's been incredible. This is always an interesting time in the garden for me, January, February, because it's the time when we have to cut back all of that winter interest, that foliage, those grasses, those perennials, those shrubs. We need to cut them back to basically nothing. And I always think it is such a season of trust. I have to trust that the garden is going to do what it needs to do underneath the ground where I can't see it. And hopefully in a short couple weeks, weeks, it will burst into life again. It'll start growing for me. It'll start blooming. New foliage will come out. It's the hardest work and it's the most hopeful work because we're getting ready for the new season. I don't like cutting things back. I don't like planting bulbs. I don't like doing things that I can't see an immediate reward. So it's definitely a time when I have to trust my garden and know that all this hard work is going to pay off very, very quickly. So I had taken the time to cut back some pink crystal grass that was over by my secret garden, and then I moved on to my Romantica ball gown rose. I don't know why this rose all of a sudden started pushing out blooms. It was very pretty and it was very hard to cut back because I did like seeing the beautiful pink buds coming up during this time of year, but I know I need to cut it back because then it's going to be so much happier in the spring when it's actually supposed to start growing and start showing blooms. Now, I had cut back the Salvia leucantha, I had cut back a lot of grasses, I had cut back roses, and all of those right now is the perfect time to do all of that in January. I am pushing it a little bit. I moved on to cutting back the Kniphofia, and you'll see in just a minute, I'm cutting back my Surefire Rose Begonia. Now, both of those, I probably could have waited another couple weeks to cut those back, but I really wanted to get it done, and I looked at my weather, and we don't have any cold weather, any risk of frost in the 10-day forecast. So I felt like it was safe to do it. But if you all are considering cutting it back, really think about the timing and make sure it's the right time to cut back kind of like borderline perennials like Kniphofia and Begonia, depending on where you live. For me, these guys are borderline. If there was a lot of cold in the forecast, I probably would have left all of this foliage on to protect the crowns for another couple weeks. Another big task that I have on my winter garden to-do list is to get mulch and mulch my garden. You can see as I'm cutting back all these perennials and I'm taking away all of this plant material, you can really see all the spots in my garden that are mulched and need to be remulched because I mulch with wood chips that break down and feed my soil, and that's wonderful. That's a huge benefit, but one drawback is that you have to continually keep putting more and more mulch on, which continually feeds your garden. So that is something that I definitely have to do. And I have been using free arborist wood chips from getchip.com. I had a really bad experience last time. So I think I'm actually going to pay for mulch this time, pay for screened wood chips this time, which is fine. I'm excited to get it. And it's definitely something that I need to do. And here you can see this is where Monty goes and stands in front of the camera for about 5 minutes. I just thought this was funny and I had to add it in. So in between times of Monty stealing the show in this video, I moved to this area of my garden to continue cutback of perennials. Here's some more Kniphofia. This is the hot and cold Kniphofia. Oh, and I wanted to show you all this. A lot of times it looks like I'm ignoring Monty in the garden, and let me tell you, I'm not ignoring him. I try and ignore him. Believe me, I try and ignore this dog, but look what happens when he wants attention. He does not let me continue on with what I'm doing. He demands that I stop, pay attention to him, give him a couple pets, and throw the ball a couple times. He is so naughty. He is such a naughty boy. And I'm hoping that he'll kind of grow out of it and calm down a little bit. I think he's like 2.5 now. But anyways, we love him. So working continued on cutting back the Kniphofia and the other perennials. I am going to leave the Miss Molly butterfly bush for another couple weeks just to make sure. I'm just worried about, I love that plant, Miss Molly butterfly bush. So I just want to leave it for another couple weeks, then I'll cut it back. And over here, I was just removing all the very last leaves that I had on my iceberg roses just to make sure no fungus or anything overwinters. Last but not least, I came over to these terracotta pots that I have in front of my gazebo and I cut back the purple fountain grass. I want to leave that because I want this purple fountain grass for summer again here. It looks so beautiful. And I've had a lot of you ask me where I got these pots. I got these pots from my local garden center, Green Acres. They're just just terracotta pots, but they're like a different kind of terracotta. They're kind of a weaker, more porous terracotta pot. They're not as robust. I don't think that they would withstand any type of freezing temperatures or hard frost temperatures, but for us here, it's not a problem, and I can leave these out all year long and not worry about it. And I do really love them. So anyway, that was my weekend of getting things done in my garden. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.